Hello, everyone, and welcome to an HBCU Sports exclusive interview. I am Jarrett Hoffman, and today I'm here with a coach who has started the offseason with a bang, with a surprising move after a long time stint at University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. She is now moving on to Alabama A&M, looking to make waves in Huntsville. It is Coach Dawn Thornton. Thank you so much, Coach Thornton, for taking some time to speak with us and to give us some insight on your move from Arkansas-Pine Bluff to Alabama A&M.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This is my first true podcast show. So I appreciate the love from HBCU Sports. Thank y'all so much for having me.
We appreciate you taking some time to speak with us. I know you're busy right now planning some things out, but appreciate you taking some time. Let's just get right into it. Let's talk about the move from Arkansas Pine Bluff to Alabama A&M. What are some things that went into that led to you making that decision?
You know, I have admired Dr. Paul Bryant and his vision for Alabama A&M and the direction that program, that department is moving in. Um, from the outside looking in, you could see such a beautiful campus, and Huntsville is growing now, the largest city in the state of Alabama. The facilities are just amazing. So from the outside looking in, I was curious just to know more about, the inside and the core of what's really going on at A&M. And having an opportunity to talk with AD Bryant last week, going through the interview process, it was just like, the whole time that I was talking and communicating with them, I was saying to myself, it's here. It's here. You know, being able to recruit, you getting kids, it's here. The rich tradition of what they stand for academically, it's here. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I've gotten more and more and more and more exciting every single day, just waking up, being a part of it. It feels surreal to me.
That's awesome. So this is a rare situation in which you're going to a team that for the past 2 years you eliminated them from the SWAC tournament. You don't see a lot that happening a lot. We've seen coaches transition within the SWAC, but that is a rare situation in which we don't usually see. What have been your impressions of Alabama A&M from the outside looking in, and what are some impressions of the team now that you are there, that since you've been there?
Well, the first thing is I have a lot of respect for Coach Richards and what she and the blueprint that she's left, the foundation that she's left with that program. Her spirit is all over throughout, those young women, and going into a situation, it's not a rebuild, it's not a start from the ground up type of situation. It's not like you're going into a place where there's limited to no resources or little to no resources. This is a place where it's just showing growth and forward thinking from, the president, our President Williams, all the way down to our equipment guy. Everybody is bought into making Alabama A&M a very special place. And I felt that. Going into the tournament, I have a really a good track record of just preparing my teams for the tournament. It's easy to get them to focus on the short term goal as opposed to the long term goal. The long term goal, when you step on the floor in January 1st, right after you play that game after Christmas, you're focusing on, let's win a regular season. Let's push towards so we can have a lot of great accolades at the end of the season. But preparing for the tournament is a lot different. It's the third part of your season, the third phase, as I would call it. And just preparing our young women mentally is something that I have really taken pride in doing. And you've gone through the trial and error for the regular season, So those are some things that my staff and we did a really good job of preparing them for the tournament. It just so happened that we played in A&M, and it's unfortunate for them. However, it's been a blessing for me, and I'm thankful to have that opportunity.
Let's talk about those UAPB teams. You and your staff did an incredible job when it comes to recruiting. One of the some of the most notable talents that you brought in, of course, Zay Green, who is all SWAC in her 2 or 3 seasons with UAPB. You brought in Maury Davenport, who was a 5-star recruit, went from Rutgers to Georgia into your program. It was a huge force in the lane for you guys. Coriah Beck, Maya Pete. You get you and your staff put together an incredible team, and it led to what was a solid season for you guys, a very good season for you guys, in which you finished 17-10 this past season. Just talk about you and your staff and your process when it comes to recruiting at UAPB.
Well, in order to be the man, you got to beat the man. And that's what we talk about all the time when we're having recruiting conversations. Jackson State, Tamika Reed has done a phenomenal job of really leaving her footprint in everybody's gym in this conference, and letting everyone know what Jackson State women's basketball stands for. And I say that because if you, as a coach, and I probably should. I'm about to. I'm about to give you some nuggets that's in the toolbox, and I probably shouldn't, but because I know all these other coaches in the conference be listening and watching. But if you want to be successful, you got to put yourselves in situations to where you look like your opponents. When we were in the preseason, the success that we've had in the preseason, we matched up. You got speed, you have size, you have you have that tenacity. You got kids that play with a chip on your shoulder. Your second man rotation got to be just as strong as your starters, and that's what we talk about. But we wanted to keep in mind, I wanted to keep the bitter taste in my mind of how relentless Jackson State is, and I'm not trying to make it about them, but you just look at that, at how versatile their roster looks. And I wanted to make sure when we were putting together a roster that we could put together a roster to where we could contend and be competing for a championship in this conference. It's unfortunate that, even this season I never played them, and the 3 times that we had an opportunity to play them, I never played Jackson State with my whole entire team. But I've been fortunate enough to be able to be in a lot of those games without those pieces, those key pieces to our teams, and we've been in the game with them. So it's just been a beautiful thing of trying to put together such a dynamic group. And then being able to bring them to Pine Bluff, Arkansas. I mean, like, that in itself is a lot to be thankful for. So I just thank all the young ladies that have given me an opportunity to coach them and taking a chance on me coming to Pine Bluff.
And when you talk about being able to bring them to Pine Bluff, you were able to rally the troops together and build up a team that made it to the SWAC championship in 2022. Just talk about the process of managing the personalities of the team and how you were able to get that done and lead them and have them one game away from a SWAC championship in 2022.
A lot of programs, a lot of teams, they experience adversity. I think everybody at some point, your team kind of goes through those things, and we experience some of those roadblocks of adversity at times. But getting the young women on the same page to understand the bigger goal. And the bigger goal is we before me. I am because you are, the Ubuntu type of spirit. Those are the things that we really have wanted to instill into our young women. Sometimes they really get it. Teams that can kind of push through it and persevere and be relentless and night in and night out, those teams are successful. Those teams can make the runs late. Those teams can get over the hump. They understand what that looks like. For us, managing our personalities, that's a challenge for me. It was a challenge this past year, but I had a locker room full of young women that understood that we still had a goal to accomplish. We wanted to be different. We wanted to be the best. We wanted to leave our legacy and leave our mark. And regardless of the outcome of what this past year looked like, we were still locked into the end goal, and that was to make a name for ourselves. Now, I will honestly say this, and this is my story. We wanted to be special, and although that the championship was something that we weren't able to do, but look what we were able to do. And I am very, very, very proud of our young women for that, because those know UAPB, we don't have a lot of resources. We didn't have a lot of resources down there. And so just accepting those challenges and getting over those hurdles is a lot in itself.
And when you talk about overcoming adversity and leaving your mark, one thing that's so incredible about that 2022 season is that you did it without your star guard, Zay Green, who you have spoken highly of and has said that she is a WNBA caliber talent. What makes her so unique as a player, and why was she somebody that you looked at when she was in the transfer portal in, I believe, 2021, and that made her so special, and why you needed to have her in your program?
Well, Zay Green is different. She changed completely what we do on offense. She changed what we did on defense. She's changed a lot of those things, and it's because of the style of play. She's played the best of of her basketball her whole entire career. Playing with a top Nike EYBL team, and being able to be a McDonald All-American, and being, in the SEC, two different teams, and she's seen success wherever she's gone. And she's a very special kid, and Zay holds a lot of love in my heart, and I appreciate her being the first five-star kid that we brought to our program to give us a chance. And I think at that time, the shift, the movement to have those young ladies at that time, you being able to transfer 1 year and then having to sit the next, when we got that waiver approved for her, she did not want that to be something that she was going to take for granted. So, she's works hard and really finds a way to get after it every single day. I remember when she first got to practice and she was going against our practice players, and she would literally not let us go on to the next drill because she couldn't, because the practice player was beating her. And we wanted him to beat her every single day. And there were like a lot of times where we're like, okay, next person up, blowing the whistle. And Zay's like, no, no, coach, no. And she wants to get out of it. So she's ultra competitive. She doesn't like to lose. I've saw a lot of growth in her game and her development, and just her mental aspect of how she approaches the game. So, her having a shot at the WNBA, it's it's something that she would have done, and she can do wherever she is, because as the game of basketball is shifting, if you just saw in the Final Four, Iowa versus South Carolina, it's a different type of basketball, and she is the epitome of what that looks like.
And before we get to Alabama A&M, because I do want to talk to you about your job moving forward with Alabama A&M, but just the growth of women's basketball and the popularity that it has seen. Now, it's always been popular. We've had women's basketball stars like Breanna Stewart, Candace Parker, Lisa Leslie. There's tons of names that we can go through, but in women's college basketball today, with the scattering of talent, of women's talent, with Caitlin Clark at Iowa, you got Angel Reese at LSU, you got Paige Beckers at UConn. This is the depth of talent spread across the country that we have not seen in a long time. Just talk about the growth of women's college basketball and the WNBA, and the prospects of the growth of the women's game going forward.
That's a great question. And I think that we've seen where it's okay to be ultra competitive. We've seen where players can come down and make plays, and we've seen the behind the backs and between the legs, and now dunking is becoming a lot more normal. So we've seen a lot of things as they have changed and shifted, um for our women's basketball sport. I remember growing up and coming into sports, and our coach would never ever let us talk noise, or being able to, you stay quiet, you remain humble, and and that's it. And so it's just different in itself. The style of basketball is faster, the pace is different. Teams are scoring a lot in transition. I mean, you think about it. Caitlin Clark, she was stroking the ball damn near at half court. Let's call a spade, and was like not trying to come down making a play. And I was looking at a lot of times like, and then her coach was saying, like, I would have wanted her to pull it out, but hey, if she's feeling it, she is feeling it, and let her do it. So that's something that I think coaches have adjusted to and done more adjusting to, as far as allowing kids to play freely in their style of play. And I think that we're going to see a lot more excitement of that as this new generation comes into play.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's move forward to Alabama A&M, and you obviously you had your introductory press conference, and one of the things that we've heard that you have said about, and I don't want to misquote you, so I'm paraphrasing, but one thing that you said is that you want to make your imprint in the city, and be and basically just get a feel for the city, and let everyone see your face, and just hit the ground running when it comes to getting yourself situated at Huntsville in Alabama A&M. Just talk about what that looks like when it comes to you making your imprint in the city of Huntsville, and as you get started in or the recruiting trail with Alabama A&M as you look forward to the 2025 season.
Well, I'll honestly tell you, a lot of the success that we started to have at UAPB, it came because we got the community behind us. We were invested into the local elementary schools. We were putting groceries in elderly's cars at grocery stores. We have been present and doing different things and setting people up for voter registration drives, and just really being visible. We worked at the local food pantries, loading up pallets and loading up cars and stuff. So we've been visible. We go to church together at different churches, and just showing up, because the city of Pine Bluff, being that it's so small, it's so urban, you really have to give the community something to look forward to on Saturday nights and on Thursdays and Mondays. So for us, that was something that we really thought that was going to be the foundation of the success. So because, I feel so strongly about being involved with the community and really getting people in the city of Pine Bluff behind us, that is some of the same type of things that we want to be able to do in Huntsville. My staff and I, we really want to reach out to those key stakeholders that's in the community, that's making things happen, and those alums that can give our young ladies opportunities for internships to turn into jobs, and really teaching them that it is really bigger than the basketball. Service before self is something that I always share with my young ladies, and you got to be able to give back. And in order to do that, this game of basketball is the game of basketball is gonna stop. The ball will stop bouncing, and when the ball stops bouncing, what will be next for you? And it's about building those relationships now. And if you can build them now, you'll be able to reap the benefits from them for them long term. So that's something that we really wanted to take pride in. And as I continue my new journey, as going into Huntsville, you're going to see me. They're going to see me out patronizing, supporting, and just showing up for the city.
It's interesting that you say that, because obviously when it comes to recruiting, as fans and as journalists, we look at it from the athletic standpoint. We look at what a player can do for a team on the court. Like you talk about how Zay Green, she impacts the game on both ends of the floor. And we talk about, Mallory Davenport and her being able to control the paint and block shots, and Koriah Beck being able to score for you. But, we lose sight of the fact that they are student athletes, and it's more than just about what you do on the basketball court. Just how do you think that that uh, in collegiate sports as a whole, that we have lost sight of the fact that a lot of times we forget that these collegiate athletes, not a lot of them, especially in the women's game where the WNBA only has 12 teams, that a lot of these players don't go pro. So there's a lot of molding that you have to do with them as individuals, as young women, and leading them into having a success out in the professional world. Do you think that we have lost sight of that as just as sports fans as whole?
I absolutely. I think that sometimes that, especially with NIL deals and the way that we really are shifting our sports into more of a business, and into to a business entity, and that's something that I think that our HBCUs will forever feel the Achilles heel in that, because things are changing. These kids want money. They want to be able to put themselves in a situation to where they can be a brand, and I respect that. I think that we do sometimes forget that they are students and they're still young adults making young adult decisions and making young adult mistakes at times. But I think once you have those right pieces around them to keep them grounded, to keep them to understand what has to be done, what needs to happen in order for them to continue to thrive as student athletes, you have to have those resources in place so they can understand as they transition from or matriculate from their freshman to sophomore to junior year, that they're still continuing to grow, and being change agents for the universities, because they are always going to be there to represent those schools, those institutions.
So when you talk about, the NIL deals and these young athletes understanding the power that they have to make decisions as young adults, that the transfer portal is a part of that. And it's been something that you and your staff has utilized at UAPB. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be something that is going to be a factor when you're at Alabama A&M. Just talk about, what it is you look for in that. You spoke about it a bit, but just talk about what you look for in an athlete when you are recruiting through the transfer portal, and even when you're looking at high school recruits. What it is you look for in an athlete that you believe that would make them the best fit for you in your program.
Well, I think the first thing is really trying to dictate what's important to you as a coach. If it's speed, then you want to make sure that you can get quicker players, players that can run the floor, post players that can face up, post players that can rim run, guards that can get downhill and attack and get to the basket and create their own shots and get out and be able to run in transition. So the first thing I think for me, as we embark on this new journey at A&M, we for sure needs to put ourselves in a position to see what that kind of looks like. I have to evaluate the talent that's already there and give those young women the benefit of the doubt, because it's also my job to inspire and develop them and to get them to understand that they could be a part of something special if they just conform to the new. And so that's something that I know that we've always preached and we talked about when we're looking at kids in the portal, being able to see if they can conform, because they've been playing in certain programs and having success at other places. Because the one thing about it is we want to make sure that we can recruit winners. We want winners, players that know how to get it done and know how to win. And so if you go back and look at the rosters from the last 3 years that we put together at UAPB, we've gotten kids that have won 16, 17, 18, 20 game winning seasons where they come from their previous institutions. And I think that that's what's really, really important also, because we want to see winners and character of those type of players to evolve late game, or if it's the game is on the line, we want to see players to be able to come together and win. However, I think it's also just as important making sure that you're recruiting great character kids that can buy into the university's rules and regulations, into the program, and understanding that they're representing more than themselves. They're representing their families and my staff as well as our institutions. And once you can put all that together and you can kind of get it going the way that get it in the flow of the way that you want it to go, then beautiful things will continue to happen.
And going back to something you said earlier, you said that this was not a rebuild, and we people will may not pay attention to this, but Alabama A&M has been one of the premier teams in the SWAC in the past couple of seasons. They have won 10 plus conference games and for the past 5 seasons. So this is as you talked about, Coach Richards and the job that she has done. She has gifted you a a team that could be ready made to be a contender. So when you talk about the decisions that you have to make, especially from the player standpoint, but also from a coaching staff standpoint, just how do you go about it? And obviously you've spoken about it a bit, but when do you start to get a feel for what decisions should be made, of who stays and who goes, and is it something that you feel like it will is a something arduous process, or is it something where you're trying to make it as quickly as possible so that people are able to make the necessary plans going forward?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I definitely I believe that there are 9 players that's in the portal. And so having an opportunity to recruit what I think matches my offensive philosophy and what we do defensively would definitely be our priority. However, there are a lot of young ladies in that program who hadn't had an opportunity to actually play at A&M. They finished the season last year, I believe, with 9 players. And, at my press conference, it's 13, 14 players that show up at the press conference. And so they've had a lot of injuries and had a lot of young ladies who hadn't really had an opportunity to leave their mark and to make an impact on the program. So I want to have an opportunity. I actually sat down with each one of them yesterday. I had a meeting with all 13 of them yesterday individually, just to see who they are and for them to talk to me a little bit about what their experience have been since they've been at A&M and what would they like to see differently. And that's something that I really wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt with, so I can make sure that I'm not overlooking anybody just because I'm the new head coach coming in and those were kids that were recruited by the previous head coach. But I had an AD to tell me one time a long time ago, that's your team and those are your kids now. So I have to embrace that and not want to push them out of the door just because I didn't recruit them, because there are a lot of great young ladies that's a part of that program, and I want to be able to give them the benefit of the doubt to see if this could be a good fit for them also. So it's not a situation to where you come in as a new coach and you just all of a sudden clean house. There are a lot of great parts that's still left here at A&M, and I want to be able to identify what that looks like and get them to buy into our system so we can be in a position to where we can start seeing some success.
Awesome. And just the final question, and it's kind of a loaded question, but what does success look like for you at Alabama A&M? This could be on the court, this could be off the court, this could be in any way that you feel success is something that you would measure for your time at Alabama A&M. What does success look like for you?
Well, the first thing that the first thing is first is I'm serious about academics. I want to make sure that our young ladies are taking care of business and doing what they need to do in order to graduate. Retention is very, very, very key. With the portal being as prevalent as it is right now, you got to really put yourself in a situation to where you have to understand that these kids can leave your program at any given time, and you want to be able to retain them and keep them there. So that's really, really important for me. But academics is something that I looked at the GPAs of these young women yesterday on our APR sheet. Every single player on this women's basketball program has a 3.0 GPA or higher. So that is the standard. And I have to do a really great job, my staff, and I have to do a really great job to keep the main thing the main thing. And the main thing is academics. Because if you're not taking care of your business in a classroom, then you're not taking care of your business on the basketball court. So we really got to be focused on what we're doing in academics. But the next thing is too is I think that one of the what athletic director Paul Bryan made very clear to me is they want a championship. They want to win. I'm walking into my press conference and the first thing that President Williams says to me is, but you got to produce. And I love that. I really do, because it kind of gives you the friendly reminder. It's not something where you feel pressure, because I don't feel the pressure. That's my goal wherever I am. If look, let me tell you, if me and you got to walk down the street and it's the first one to the stoplight, I got to beat you to the stoplight. It's just who I am. And so reminding me to win is not something that they will have to do on a day-to-day basis. However, I do understand that with all of the resources that we have at A&M, cost of attendance, the young ladies are getting cost of attendance. They have training tables, the student athletes, and a lot of the SGA, they're getting their own cafeteria, and the living situations are beautiful. Like everything is just forward thinking and growing and developing in Huntsville. And so when you're in a situation to where you have no excuses in order to be successful, and no excuses to get it done, then there is no excuse. The goal is to win a championship, and we have to do that yesterday.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, but thank you so much, Coach Thornton, for taking some time out of your business. I know you got a million things going on, so I don't want to hold you any longer. But for anybody that wants to follow you for any updates in regards to the Alabama A&M women's basketball program in the off season, let them know where they can follow you and where they can, yeah, anywhere they can reach you.
Well, I definitely appreciate all of the love and support. Our alums have really been rallying out. I've gotten so many calls from 256 area code, and I'm trying my best to sort through it all. But I really do appreciate you for having me here. And those who are following, you can always follow me on X at a Diva Coach AAMU. And I'll do my best. I try to respond to everybody that sends me a message. I give my phone number out for those who want to be able to reach out to me, and kind of help me navigate through the city, the wonderful state of Alabama. If the talent is there, we're coming. Just be a little patient with me, but we're coming. We'll be in the gyms and in the local AAU programs and get saturated all over that state very soon.
Awesome, awesome. So thank you everybody for watching. If you can, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Please follow us on all our social platforms. It should be down here. If you look at that ticker down there, it'll be on there. You can always look us up at hbcusports.com for all the latest updates in HBCU sports. Until next time, see you guys.